swing and a drive. Right field and deep. Back goes Aquino. It's got a chance. Gone. Get out the tape measure. Long gone.
Fly the W!
Cubs fans, it's time to fly the W with Dustin Rhodes and Paul Crawly Jean.
This is the Fly the W podcast, part of the Blue Wire Network. We are on episode number 335, heading to Mesa, Crawly. Don't forget to listen, download, subscribe. Most importantly, follow us, review the podcast, follow us on the socials. I'm at Mully and Haw on X.
You can follow me at Crawly's Cubs on X, Blue Sky, TikTok, Crawly's Clubhouse on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Threads. And you can email us at Crawly's Clubhouse at gmail.com. Dustin, you guys had some big news over at the Score on Monday. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, 1-0-4-3 the Score. So now all Cubs games, Pat and Ron and Zach and everyone will be in crystal clear FM radio, along with 670 the Score, along with the Alexa, Alexa and all your smart speaker apps. Just tell them to play 670 the Score, or tell them to play 1043 the Score. If you could actually make Pat Hughes sound crisper, bigger, and bolder, this will be the move to do so.
Yeah, and that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it, especially in the Chicagoland area. My brother, he comes in from Colorado, and he always would ask, why does it sound like you're listening to like a 1920s radio? I'm like, dude, this is AM, you know what I mean? So I'm like, we're going to have it here. It was funny because you texted me on Sunday this picture, and
Yes.
I was literally 10 minutes outside of Murphy's. I'm like, I'm going to be right there. So I got a picture of it. I had to get it.
No, I retweeted it. I retweeted it on the Mully and Haw account, so it was good. It was good stuff.
It was a blast to go up there and see that. And again, how can you make Pat Hughes sound even better? You guys found a way, and it's exciting. Dustin, to go along with the excitement from our friend Scotty Chaggs, moving day, 1060 West Addison, bringing all the gear. They're packing it up, and they're heading out to Mesa, Arizona, where Dustin, that is where our next guest is going to be joining us from. You'd see his work on Baseball Focus, on Twitter. He's just a great friend of mine out in Arizona. John Antonoff. John, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's great to hear from you. Whenever I see your program, I know baseball season is starting, and I guess it's the same with the photos.
Oh, I gotta love it. And you were telling me earlier, what is the temperature right now in Arizona?
It's 80. Yeah, 80 degrees Fahrenheit, of course. But it's I put on the long sleeves and the hoodie. I used to have long hair, so when I cut my hair and I would go out and do games, I'd feel a little pain on my neck from a mole. I was like, oh my God, my long hair was protecting me. So I had to replace and get a whole bunch of these. And but it overheats me for sure when I wear these. So I don't sizzle, but I do sweat.
80 degrees, Dustin. What the hell are we doing here?
Yeah, I'm ready for 80. Listen, I'm ready for 50.
We have been in a polar vortex. It was balmy here today at 17 degrees. I was wearing shorts and flip-flops. So that's where we are, John. But you are in a much better place. Tell our listeners a little bit what it's like, that period right before CubsCon till pitchers and catchers report. That's, I think, when you start to see some activity in Sloan Park, right?
Absolutely. What they did was they used to have instructs in October, and they moved it a few years back, or several years back now, to the beginning of January. So a lot of the rookies and minor league players come in, and you'll have 70 guys here. And then at spring training, it seems like it's become a lot of the major leaguers want to stay in shape year round. So they show up a lot earlier. Last year, like PCA, Nico Horner, Gage Workman, Nicky Lopez, Michael Bush, they were all working out of the infield. PCA was there. There's nobody in the outfield to work out with him. And I think he likes to take infield anyway. But they were out here early in January. And so I headed out kind of early in January. I think I went out like on the 7th or the 8th. I missed a couple guys, AAA guys working out. And then the camp officially started, I think, like a week later. But there were a lot of guys. But the major leaguers didn't come out as early this year as they did last year.
Now, one of the guys, this is from your picture. And again, you can find all this in Baseball in Focus. This is how I know Dustin and I have been doing this for a while. This is James Triantos. Now with Owen Casey gone, one of the top prospects of the Cubs. I interviewed this kid. He must have been 17, 18, right when he was breaking into the major leagues. He was on this podcast and I interviewed him for he was in Myrtle Beach and he would call me Mr. Crawly before the show started. He'd be like, thanks, Mr. Crawly. And I'd be like, you can just call me Crawly, man. It's all good. But I was telling my wife about it. I'm like, this kid is the same age as my son. And now I'm looking at him and it's just weird. And I know that you feel the same way, John, because you've seen these guys through all stages from the moment they get drafted all the way now. And James Triantos knocking on the door. And he just looks like he's just finally grown into his body. And I'm excited to see, obviously he's going to be starting in AAA, but you just wonder what he's going to do this year. How's James looking out there and what position is he mostly playing?
Well, obviously they move around the infield a lot, so everybody switches and does third base, second base, shortstop. They cover everything. But yeah, the mustache was pretty interesting. I remember when I think second year I knew him, he called me either Mr. Antonoff. I said, "Bro, just call me John. I'm a dirty dog, man." And he's definitely got swag in the outfield now. He's been doing some fun stuff. I like watching him just do the crazy throws, the behind the back tosses. So he's looking really good.
Now, the one guy that, I know you created a little bit of buzz. You were one of the first to have pictures of Matt Shaw. And I can tell you something, John, based on your pictures. Matt Shaw does not skip leg day.
Yeah,
that guy's got some quads, quadzilla over here like Mark Pryor. But this is Matt Shaw shagging outfield flies. And Dustin and I talked about Arizona's fine and it's not playing right field at Wrigley. That's tricky. But from first glimpses of what you're seeing from Matt Shaw, how does he look taking some outfield practice?
Well, it caught us all by surprise. He came out and Triantos was there also, and they worked on their infield. And then they moved to the outfield. James took left center and Shaw took right. And they started hitting fly balls, and he looked really good because one of the toughest things is a ball hit at you directly. Sometimes you take a step back because if it goes up, you still have time to run in on it. He made one misplay on a ball hit at him, but he charged it. And I don't want to say what he said, but it's funny when he was charging it, I can actually hear him in my camera, but he made the catch. Running backwards, he looked great. I mean, I shouldn't say backwards, turning his head, running with his head turned. He looked great. He had great acceleration, great natural instincts out there.
Now, you also had this interesting pick, and this is why I love seeing you guys sending us these pictures, sharing them on social media. Tell us a little bit about the bat he's using, because that is not the same bat he used last year.
Yeah, it's one of the torpedo bats that when I first saw it, actually, the first person I saw was Swanson and Nico Horner had them last year. That's the Victus model, but I think the Vulo company is the one that I'm not exactly sure how that works, but they're the ones I think that the Cubs are using. But it looks like a bowling pin more to me. More of the weight is shifted down inside of the sweet spot, lower than the normal sweet spot. And I think it helps you get around inside pitches that are hard to barrel because you have to have the bat in front of the plate. You really have to have your hands. Let me do it like this. So you really have less time to swing on an inside pitch to barrel it. And that prevents a lot of broken bats. But he also has an axe handle on it, and that was the first time I've seen that combination of bat effects on a piece of wood.
Huh. And one thing that you got video of that got Cubs Twitter buzzing today was Matt Shaw. He hit a home run, but that's not what people find interesting. Let me play the video first here. Now, those of us that have talked about Matt Shaw and questioned whether he could hit in the major league level, one of the things that has always been talked about is that leg kick. And we know that he made some adjustments when he went down to AAA. But looking at the video you shot today, that leg kick, I mean, you don't see it almost at all. I mean, it's more like a toe tap, if anything.
Yeah, exactly. Normally I put a tripod up there and I kind of get it right against the fence and I can walk away and take pictures and then come back to it. But I was holding that. That happened to be a home run. So that's why I put that up there. Regardless, a lot of people are complaining about the follow through, but the pitch was up and in. So it was more of a reaction. A couple pitches before were lower. You're not going to swing at them, but sometimes you just want to see if you can swing at a pitch that looks like it's coming right in at you. And that's why when it's up like that, the follow through is always going to look ugly. But I was going to put up another one of him where he's actually doing the toe tap, and you can see he's resisting the temptation to lift the leg. And then it's kind of a heads down swing and he doesn't move it. It's almost like a no look. And then he looks up after. So I was going to post that one up because a lot of people were saying that they didn't like the follow through, but that was just, I put that up because that one guaranteed one out of the yard.
Oh yeah, it's fun to see, but when you watch him taking BP, you're watching him, and he is definitely making a concerted effort to get that leg kick down. Then,
Yeah, I put up a home run of him hitting last year, and this was before people really knew he had a monster leg kick. But I had mentioned that it looks kind of like the windup of a starting pitcher. I mean, that knee was almost touching his chin, you know. So he's coachable for sure.
and you got Dylan Carlson, who we remember with the Cardinals, but I mean, here he doesn't even have Cubs gear on at that point in time, so he wasn't even signed with the team. But it seemed like he got along with some of his teammates, saying hello and all this stuff, and it kind of gave us an indication that the Cubs were going to sign him. He looks good out in the outfield, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He was actually out there about 4 days before that. And when things were finishing up for the day with the minor leaguers, I had noticed somebody on field 3 grabbing their leg and stretching it. And I kind of wanted to look over and see who it was. And then they walked away behind the dugout. And I said, I don't think they want us to know who that is. And then they came out onto field 4. And so I walked around behind home plate and I took a picture. I mean, not a picture. I looked through the camera as a binocular sort of, and for a split second I thought it was Justin Verlander, and I went, oh shit, and then I said that to myself and I ran up and it turned out it wasn't him. But I mean, just for a brief second I thought it was Verlander. I was like, oh man, but he came out there and was just working. He did some just simple outfield stuff, and then he was shagging balls that day. I think he was taking some off Nick Lavello, and then I just noticed the hat looked a little weird, and then I noticed what I figured was a cactus bloom or the fruits of a cactus. So that ended up being bigger news. I guess people like baseball fashion, you know.
Speaking of baseball fashion, is there anyone more fashionable than PCA? And we know everything about PCA. I just got to ask you as a photographer, this is a picture of PCA catching the ball behind his back. Is there anything more fun than watching PCA shag fly balls?
No, there isn't. I mean, I think it's worth the price of admission alone. When people come out to spring training, you have more fun sometimes going to the quads and to the fields and watching them practice before the game. You're kind of pooped out with all the action you see, and it's only 11 in the morning. And with PCA, he's always doing that because it must be boring just to catch a ball. So he's so good at it that he has to invent new ways to make it more difficult. And he was doing that. I mean, he constantly does that. And the other picture where he's up on the wall, he wasn't even jumping for a ball. He was just running, and he just jumped to kind of slow his momentum down and used it as a bounce back. He's super exciting to see always. And he kind of looks like he's in midseason form already. So his legs are in running shape.
Well, you talked about the quads. Those are the shamrock shaped 4 fields that are in the backfields. Always a lot of fun to go to. John, I appreciate you jumping on and telling us a little bit about these photos. They're so great. Tell our listeners where they can follow you on the socials.
Well, I do Instagram for the players to send them photos, and then I just do Twitter as kind of my sports and news. So it's Baseball in Focus on X. I'm sorry. And then I just do the same thing on Instagram.
Absolutely love it, John. And I'm hoping to make my way out to Arizona and see you soon, buddy.
Oh, I'd look forward to it, man. It's not the same without you. So please make it out here.
Thank you, John.
Sounds good, buddy.
Right.
Thanks for
Take care,
jumping
Dustin.
on.
Thanks. All right.
So great to hear from John. He's just such a great guy. I love seeing him when we're out in Arizona. And so exciting to kind of see that leg kick from Sean, that new bat. I'm curious to see what kind of results we're going to see from that.
Good time to try to break in that bat, right? Good time to bring that in. I'm glad he told us that he shares his work with the players. So that's pretty cool as well.
Yeah, guys like John and Rich Biesterfeld been on the show. They know these guys from a young age, and sometimes especially guys like in Latin America or just really young guys. I remember Owen Casey, because his family's in Canada and they don't get to see their, you know what I mean? Like these guys send the pictures and then they send them to their friends and family at home. So it's kind of a cool thing.
Absolutely.
You know, Dustin, there are some former Cub friends that we have since the last time we talked that have found new homes. Some of them haven't been with the Cubs in a while. Some of them were on the team last year. They found new homes. How about this guy? Remember Dirty Craig Kimbrell? How could you forget that praying mantis delivery?
I can't believe he's still doing it. This is going to be 17 big league seasons.
Yep, 17 big league seasons. Remember, he pitched for the Cubs in 2019, 2020 before being shipped to the South Side for Nicky Madrigal and Cody Hewer in a trade that neither team won. Last season, he pitched in 14 games, Dustin, 1 for the Braves. He didn't pitch for the Rangers at all, and 13 for the Astros through 3 teams. He signed a minor league deal with the Mets, but I mean, it just shows you how much this guy loves baseball. He'll ride the buses. He'll be on AAA, any opportunity to try to keep it going. So we'll see what happens with that. In addition to Craig Kimbrell, there is David Robertson. You remember David Robertson was on the team in 2022. He has called it a career after 17 seasons. Remember, he did really good in the Cubs bullpen in 22 and was flipped at the trade deadline for current Cubs pitcher Ben Brown. Moving a little bit more towards more modern times. This is one of your favorite guys here, Dustin. How about heart attack Hector Neris?
Not so much, but I don't wish him any ill will.
No, he pitched for the Cubs in 2024. He struggled in late inning situations, blowing 5 saves and 22 opportunities with a 3.89 ERA. The Cubs DFA'd him in August, and he finished the season with the Astros. Last season, he also played for 3 teams, the Braves, Angels, and Astros. And like Morgan, Neris signed with the Royals. So they're both. So you got Craig Kimbrell and you got Hector Neris. Or I'm sorry, you got Hector Neris is going to the Kansas City Royals. He's going to be a non-roster invitee, so he has a chance to break camp with the team. Now, this guy is one that most people won't remember, but if you listen to this show enough, you did. How about Richard Lovelady, a.k.a. Dick Lovelady? He's, what do they say? If you're a lefty, you always kind of have a job somewhere.
This might go down as one of the top all-time sports names, by the way.
Yeah. Dick, it's like Dick Pole and all the classic ones.
Harry Colon, Dick Trickle.
Yeah, there's great. But he was claimed off waivers by the Nationals. The Mets put him on waivers. He pitched for the Cubs in 2024. Now, this is a guy, if you don't remember him very well, he pitched for the Cubs last year, and I guess I could probably say that loosely, pitched for the Cubs. How about Eli Morgan? You remember that one?
I do. I recognize that name right away, not in a good way.
Yeah, they traded a promising prospect for lefty Eli Morgan last season, and he pitched 7 times as a Cub, gave up 10 runs on 12 hits, 3 home runs across 7 1/3 innings, had elbow issues the majority of the season. His final appearance was on April 14. After that, he had 12 outings in rehab assignments in the minors, non-tendered in November. He's going to be joining Hector Neris with a minor league deal with the Royals with a chance to compete for big league spring training. Just today, Dustin, not the guitarist, but the baseball player, Carlos Santana, signed a 1-year, $2 million deal with the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's going to be playing in his 17th big league season.
And is he going to get his pants right? He was wearing like shorter pants than football players wear in college.
He's got big legs as well, man.
The oddest uniform. It's like the old White Sox softball uniform he was wearing. I mean, give me a break.
Well, he appeared in 8 games for the Cubs last season and slashed 105, 158. Didn't do much, but hey, he's still living the dream, right? He's still playing the game. But Dustin, this last one hurts. Right here. This one's
kind of been under the radar, Super Bowl week and things like that. It happened over the weekend. This one's not getting as much buzz as I thought it might.
Reese McGuire is going to the hated Milwaukee Brewers. He signed a minor league deal with an invite to big league spring training. So Dustin, we're very, very close to pitchers and catchers as far as when they're going to report. So what we're talking about here is that Wednesday, February 11th, Cubs pitchers and catchers report. Full squad workouts begin on Monday, February 16th. And most teams are going to be starting right around that time. Everyone doesn't start exactly on the same day. It kind of varies, but in general, Next week on Mondays, when you're going to start seeing guys come in, pitchers and catchers reporting for different teams. Cubs have to report on Wednesday, and then full squad on Monday. But this is where you see a lot of people trying to pick up some of these guys, your Carlos Santanas, your Reese McGuires, for these short deals to see what you can happen. But, Reese was, he caught 45 games for the Cubs after Miguel Amaya had to deal with 2 different IL stints. And, he was adequate, which is what you ask for in your backup catcher, right?
Yeah, more than adequate. Yeah, he was good. Now, again, I don't know if he's good all year long, but I guess to your point, yeah, for a backup catcher, he was perfect.
Does a great job receiving the ball. He had a couple games that were important. May 25th, the Reese McGuire game, he had 2 home runs, including a game-tying shot in the 8th inning in an 11-8 comeback win against the Reds. Another big game for him was June 7th, 2025. He ended a game with against the Tigers with a pickoff. And there was a review as a pickoff game end, so that was a lot of fun. He a little back tag right there. And then on August 23rd, he hit a 4th inning grand slam and added a sac fly in a 12-1 victory over the Angels. He had 5 RBIs. So those were some of the Cubs that of yesteryear past that have found some deals. And speaking, Dustin, of Cubs from yesteryear's past, how about Anthony Rizzo?
Man, this is good. NBC. This is interesting news. Really interesting news.
Yes, sir. He may be retired, but he's finding plenty of things to do. He's going to be an ambassador for your Chicago Cubs, which I think means we're going to see him every now and then. And then, he'll be kind of with that ambassador program, they'll sign autographs for season ticket holders. They go to the suites and glad hand people and that kind of stuff. But he's going to do this NBC.
Glad hand people.
Oh, you know how that works, right? You got to regale them with the story past. And it's a lot of fun. But what I'm looking at here is that he is going to join NBC's broadcasting team. And you remember that when you and I grew up, NBC was big time baseball, right? NBC Saturday game of the week and all that stuff. But they
not only that, Crawly, it was the baseball bunch, right? I mean, there was a whole bunch of stuff.
All NBC. And later on, and that ended in 2000, that partnership when Fox took over most of the biggest games. But NBC decided they wanted back after ESPN kind of opted out of their deal. And so they are going to pay nearly $200 million a year for Sunday night baseball and also have the Sunday night leadoff package on Peacock. But this is going to be pretty exciting. And Dustin, I got to say, it's not just Rizzo. Bob Costas is going to be back. If you remember, Bob Costas, again, for Sandberg game is the one that sticks in my head.
Yeah, very cool to have Costas back around. Again, I know maybe he's lost his fastball, if you will, as far as calling the game, but his knowledge of baseball, being a studio host, I think is right up his alley.
Right. And then you're going to have not just Rizzo, who's hilarious. And I remember Rizzo, it was a spring training game, and it was the first one. Madden was with the Angels, and they had him mic'd up. They had Bryant, Rizzo, and Madden all mic'd up. And Rizzo's just a funny guy. We know he could still tell stories and entertain a crowd. Not only that, Clayton Kershaw is going to be there. And how about Joey Votto?
Yeah, Joey Votto is much better than I thought. I didn't realize Joey Votto had such a big personality, Crawly. Yep, he's
great personality. Yeah. He is hilarious. He's insightful. I am very curious to see what there's a story that goes back. One time Votto was just killing the Cubs at a homestand, and my buddy Danny Rocket took a picture of me screaming at Joey Votto. We were right in the very first row. We were in the Maker's Mark suites there, which is right on the first base side. And I'm screaming at Votto and I'm banging it. Hey, knock it off, Joey. Stop hitting home runs. And first inning, he jacks one out right on into the right field bleachers. And I swear to God, he just looked at me and smiled. So he's a great character. And hopefully we get to see this here. You can see that the Cubs are going to have 3 games on NBC, May 31st against the Cardinals, a week later, June 7th against the Giants, and August 30th against the Reds. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And, Dustin, just all this talk about spring training and all these guys signing, it's just telling us that baseball's about here.
It is. It's right. It's right around the corner. It was a great photo that you sent out with the truck, the moving van. I'm sure, thousands and thousands of pounds of gear is going to be heading west. Do you have an official, you have an official trip planned at this point, or are you still up in the air, Crawly?
I am working out details. I'm trying to figure it out. We're going to try to make every effort to get over to Arizona this year. I missed it last year so I could go to opening day in Arizona. I had never been to that stadium. So I kind of sacrificed spring training to go to, I took a trip to Sedona, and then we went to Phoenix to catch opening day there. So that's off the list, but especially with the fact that there may not be baseball next year, I have an itch to get out.
You want to get as much as you can while you can, right?
I got my friend John out there, Rich out there, Steve, Stephanie, the Denise. There's so many great people that I love out there, and I got to get out of there. I'm going to make every effort to get out there.
This is the Fly the W podcast, part of the Blue Wire Network, and you are listening to episode number 335, heading to Mesa. And in this segment, we've got Daniel Jacob Horan. Don't forget to listen, download, review, subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. 5-star reviews, we'll take them. Email us, Crawly's Clubhouse, gmail.com. Don't forget, you can watch us on the Crawly's Clubhouse YouTube page. Some of you are doing that right now. In this segment, Crawly talks to Daniel, an artist, a creator of Pop Fly prints, about his latest theme releases that asks you to imagine if Moises Alou caught the ball. All right, Crawly, this is Heading to Mesa, episode 335 of the Fly the W podcast. Proud to be part of that Blue Wire Network. Don't forget, you can watch us on Crawly's Clubhouse YouTube page. You can download, you can listen, you can review, you can subscribe. 5-star reviews, we'll take them. Email us, Crawly's Clubhouse at gmail.com. All right, MLB transactions not exactly connected to our favorite team, the Cubs.
Yeah, when we're taking a look here, like I said earlier, these deals are happening, and a couple more of the big names came off the deal on January 31st. This was one that kind of surprised me, Dustin. Luis Arraez. I don't understand what took so long for him to get signed. And Dustin,
yeah, I thought the same thing. I'm like, when I heard it, I'm like, am I thinking of the same guy? And yeah, I guess I was, but I was shocked that he was available when he was available.
How about this? 1 year, $12 million.
Right. I mean, that's great dough if you can get it, but like from a Major League Baseball standpoint, fairly cheap.
$12 million is a little bit more than what you pay just like an average reliever. Like it's not that much money in baseball terms. He's a 3-time batting champion. He had a down year. I'm doing this in air quotes for those of you listening to the pod. Down year. He only hit Dustin 292. Now, let's be honest. His defense is not the greatest, and he did want to play second base. He made that very clear. But I mean, how could the market be so low for this guy? If he was
I guess, it seems like Crawly here, and this is what I thought about. And as you're saying this, you're making my mind think a little bit, which is always a scary thing. Is this about slug? Because he's got no slug. Who else has no slug? Nico Horner, a guy that supposedly, isn't good enough to be in the top 100 of MLB baseball players, isn't a top 5 second baseman in all of MLB because he has no slug. It seems fairly ridiculous to me.
Right. And you mentioned Nico Horner. If Luis Arraez was on the Cubs last season, he would have had the second highest batting average on the team, only behind Nico's 297. And the next highest batting.
Right. No offense to, the round mound to rebound, our new DH. Right. But I mean, wouldn't you love to see Luis Arraez as a DH setting the table or hitting with men in scoring position? I know he doesn't have any pop, but I don't think Ballesteros has much pop either.
No, and when you take
a look at his game, I mean, that's not his game. I'm not killing him. He's a guy who makes contact, doesn't strike out a lot, but he's also not going to put the ball out of the park.
Right. I think with Arraez, he wanted to play defense. He wanted to play second. Second is occupied for the Cubs right now. And so I think it's a good fit for Arraez, to be honest. And when you take a look now, again, Arraez is a little bit below average defensively, which the Cubs are definitely not looking for.
No, they're not looking for that.
Take a look at the Giants. When you take a look at this projected lineup via Fangraphs, you got Luis Arraez leading off, Rafael Devers, Willie Adames, and Matt Chapman. So you have their whole infield is batting 1 through 4 other than the catcher. I mean, that's just unbelievable. And that's a pretty damn good lineup if you take a look at it. But I mean, this is a guy that routinely hits in the 300s, who has routinely hit in the mid to high 300s. It's not like he's just touching 300. I mean, there's been a lot of years where he's in the, 330s, which, we just don't see a lot of, Dustin. Like you say nowadays, when you talk about, oh, slug. No, he's not that. And he's not even a big on base guy as far as drawing walks. He's just a damn pesky guy to get out. You can't get him out. He's always sitting there. When I take a look here in 2019, he hit 334. In Miami in 2023, Dustin, he hit 354. And then just the year prior, he hit 314 and 299 with Miami. He went back there. But I mean, this is a guy in 2024. He also hit 318. So he played for two teams. He hit 314, though, for those two teams. I mean, 316, 354, 314, and then the down year in 292. I mean, this is a guy that gets on base, and I just felt like he was way overlooked by a lot of teams. I couldn't believe nobody really needed him until about a week before pitchers. And he again, 1 year, $12 million. That's nothing.
Yeah, it seems very, very affordable. Very, very affordable.
And Dustin, that scream you heard on Sunday, that was me hearing that slugger, Eugenio Suarez, will be returning to Cincinnati, which is not what I wanted to see. But again, Dustin, how do we know we got a lockout going? 1 year, $15 million. That's it. If you want to talk about DH, because that's what he's going to be. He's going to be primarily a DH for the Reds. I would have done 1 year, $15 million.
Yep. I don't disagree with you.
It has a mutual option for 2027. So the Reds he played for the Reds. Everyone remembers him with the Reds, 2014 to 2021. He slashed last season, 228, 298, slugged 526, 49 homers, 91 RBIs, splitting time between the D-backs and the Mariners. Suarez is a certified Cubs killer, slashing 266, 349, 540 against the Cubs. He's hit 36 home runs against the Cubs, the most against any team he has faced, Dustin. So I'm going to tell you, I wasn't impressed really with the Reds offseason, and all of a sudden they just come up. This is what makes these last couple of weeks before players report interesting is, all of a sudden to me, that really changes the outlook for the Reds. You have a real slugging threat in that lineup. And the thing about the Reds is the pitching is phenomenal on that team. It's just, do they have enough offense? And they just added a guy who hits 49 home runs, and he had 49 home runs with the D-backs and the Mariners. The Mariners park was not really good for Suarez. You remember
and he was a guy we talked about, right, Crawly? He was a guy that we talked about. If the Cubs were looking to add a guy, that would be a guy you'd consider bringing aboard. Now, of course, is a guy in the division. You don't want him to have as good of a year as you hoped he might have had for the Northside team.
I don't know. But when you take a look at the Athletics top 50 free agent list, which is what we have been looking a lot at, Dustin, there's only 9 players left, and most of them are in the 30s and 40s. Like the big names are no longer there. 50, Michael Kopech, 43, Rhys Hoskins, 41, Max Scherzer. Someone's going to take a flyer on him. 38, Marcell Ozuna, 37, Zach Little, 31, Chris Bassett, 30, Lucas Giolito, another former White Sox, the 2 former White Sox. 21 is interesting, Dustin, because, there's been a lot of people trying to connect Zach Gallen to the Cubs, with Shota and with Jameson Taillon no longer under contract with the Cubs next season, trying to fill in some of those, spaces and keep that deep pitching rotation. So, I mean, if it's 1 year, $12 million or something, I mean, I don't see why the Cubs wouldn't try to kick the tires on that. I don't know what he's asking, but it's starting to get late in the game. Again, pitchers and catchers for the Cubs report on Monday, Dustin. That's less than a week from when we're recording this.
Right. You almost wonder if they're waiting for an injury potentially, right, or something, and then somebody's a little bit more desperate for a guy. You think that's what's going on? Even though I don't like that, I don't like it. It almost seems like he's now, quote unquote, rooting for injury. That's that's not great juju.
I mean, he's going to wait for the best possible deal. He's going to do what his agent tells him. I'm just going to tell you it from my personal opinion. This is not, there's no numbers to back this up. Whenever I see guys show up late to camp, it never really works out good for them. I always feel like especially a new guy, you want to kind of get out there relatively early, get the lay of the land, be comfortable, you like take Alex Bregman. You know he's already looking at places in Chicago if he doesn't already have one. He's set. I'm sure he knows what he wants, where he wants to be in Arizona. I mean, you just want to be you don't want to be like dealing with all this crap once. Even when I would say when spring training starts, you want to be dealing with it. You want it to be done and over with. So the longer you wait, I feel like it's the tougher it is to kind of get your routine. And as dumb as it sounds, it's important to these players to have
routine. Routine is so big. I think it's so big to them.
And it's so important to not have to worry about the outside noise. You hear these guys talk about all the time. We don't listen to the noise outside. But if you got your family and your wife and your kids and you're trying to find a place to live and get them into schools and all that stuff, you'd rather have that done now than while you're trying to kind of also figure out everything you have to do for your job, which involves getting out some of the best athletes in the world on the diamond. So
yep.
Number 5 is still left. That's the last in the top 10. Framber Valdez and Dustin. I mean, like, I know, did he intentionally cross up his catcher because he was mad at his catcher and hit him? I don't know. You remember that Framber was at the winter meetings, pitching himself. Like, I never heard anything negative about Framber Valdez prior to this incident. Did you?
No. I mean, other than, part of the team with the cheating scandal, maybe, but no.
Right. But again, he wasn't hitting. You know what I mean? He was pitching. He wasn't even hitting.
But he was benefiting from the run support, maybe, right?
Right. But when I think about guys like, okay, you always heard stuff about Trevor Bauer. You always heard stuff about Milton Bradley. There's certain guys that you just kind of go, I don't know. AJ Pierzynski, another guy who did well in the White Sox, but you heard, there was negative talk about, do you want this guy in the clubhouse? Is he really this, that, or the other, and some of it's true, some of it's not true. We're not sitting there, casting stones at people, but it's just like, I feel like this is one of the premier pitchers in the game. And I really even haven't heard just like a lot of like smoke coming from him. You know what I mean? Like,
well, there was the Mets. It sounded like him and the Mets were getting together for a while, but I think that ship now is probably sailed based on the amount of money they've spent.
Yeah. I feel like he's a guy that you sit there and you say to yourself, man, like, what, I mean, are someone may, again, this is one of those things, who's going to blink first and how impatient, because remember, the agent works for the player. I know every agent right now is saying, wait until you get a good deal. But is there a point in time where Framber Valdez or Zach Gallen says, look, get me the best deal, whatever's on the table right now.
Yep.
I want to do something. And so that's up to them. I don't know if that's Framber, but this may have to be one of those 1-year prove-it deals that Cody Bellinger and other players have had to sign. Now, Cody didn't have the negativity of the bad clubhouse guy label on him, but some of these players have to do these 1-year prove-it deals. I think they tried to avoid it with Framber, but apparently nobody's really biting. So if you're Framber, do you want to go to a team like the Cubs for kind of a cheap contract and then hope to parlay that? But that's where the whole potential lockout makes things difficult for 2027.
Right. One more transaction, Crawly, that kind of puzzled me is the Cardinals trading away their all-star second baseman over to the Mariners. That seemed kind of bizarre.
What I will tell you, Dustin, on the next episode, we're going to take a look at the Athletics report card for the off season, and that'll give you a lot more insight into that Brandon Donovan move, because this is Heimblum really kind of just taking over and saying, you know what, this is going to be my team, out with the old, in with the new. I don't think the Cardinals are going to be very good this year, but they're going to be very young. And you know how those young teams sometimes can surprise you. Remember the 2015 Cubs kind of arriving a little bit early. They're going young. They got rid of most, Arenado, Wilson Contreras, Brendan Donovan, Sonny Gray. They got rid of a lot of guys that are veterans, and they're going young. So we'll definitely, because I feel like with pitchers and catchers reporting, I think we can fairly give some pretty, take a look at the grades that were given out by the Athletic and see what moves have been made between now and then, and see where the Cubs lie in all of this. And we will have, again, pitchers and catchers, Dustin, reporting on Monday. We are almost
that's a tease, Crawly. That's known in the business as a tease. Don't forget to listen to us, the Mully and Haw Show and Cubs baseball, preseason Cubs baseball. 104.3 the score on the FM dial. 104.3 the score on the FM dial. So that's a wrap, Crawly. Don't forget to listen, download, review, subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Email us your thoughts and questions, Crawly'sClubhouse@gmail.com. And you can watch us. just like some of you are right now, by subscribing to the Crawly's Clubhouse YouTube channel.
I want to thank our guests for coming on. John Antonoff, Baseball in Focus, great stuff from Mesa. Daniel Jacob Horn, just such a tremendous artist and some of the hottest memorabilia out there right now. I'm just saying, Dustin, just the thought and looking at John's pictures have me getting ready to book a flight right now. I'm ready to go to Mesa. Go Cubs!
It's all over.